Today we're going to be going over and installing the latest revision of our MK7 European taillight adapter harness, which no longer requires terminal tools for installation. We can start by removing this panel, and all it does is pop down and it has clips that hold it in place. Now we're going to remove our C-pillar trim, and we can start by just getting our fingers in there, and there are clips that hold this pillar trim on, and that's loose enough that we should be able to then access what we need to access without taking it off any further. Now to start, we're going to remove this panel. We can unlock this where the warning triangle goes and remove, there's 4 torque screws that go in place here. Now once you have those screws out, there's pretty much nothing left holding this in place. So all you're going to do is yank this down and the clips that hold it in place. So we are going to start on this side over here so we can see everything. And you see it pulls down. A lot of times this can be scary because you feel like you're going to break stuff, and you could, but you probably won't. And then take this one off. This one we're going to pull out of the way completely so that we can access these corner pieces that are a little bit harder to take off just because the angle of the clips. Now you got to be careful when you get here because obviously it's going to fall on your head. That's one thing to take note of. These corners can be difficult to get in and out. Okay, so we're going to start by running the wire up through this pillar trim. So we're going to put our snake in there and work it down. You don't need to have a snake, but it is awfully nice and convenient to have. You could also use a coat hanger or something like that. So now we're down here, got our snake in, and we're going to pull it down. So we are going to take the one wire that goes up, which also has the adapters that plug into the taillights on it, and we are going to wrap some electrical tape on there just to keep it on our snake. Okay, now we're going to pull this all the way up and through, and then all the way up. Now we're going to pull this up to where it has not a whole lot of slack here, and we're going to plug it in to the driver's side of the vehicle. Now this is going to plug into the taillight, but we have to leave this open because this pin needs to be run from the top down and then plugged into this connector. Okay, now we're going to get this wire and run it up through this boot here. Now we can start by popping it loose here. Now there are just clips that hold it in, and it's a tension clip, so be careful. You're going to push in and then pop it down. Now these are easy to break, so be careful when you're working with that you don't break it. And we are going to slide this snake in. Now this is one particular setting that we really feel like a snake is a lot more beneficial because a coat hanger is likely to get stuck in this rubber and possibly tear it and poke a hole in it, which you don't want to do. So we are going to then put our wire back on here, and then we're going to pull that up. All right. And again, try to get the slack out. Don't pull it too tight because you remember you got these panels that all got to go back on. So give yourself enough slack that it's not going to be loose, too loose, but also too tight. Okay, so now we have our wire running up through that boot, and we're going to get it up here and through. And then we can take this And I like to kind of hook it around some of the other wires that are existing. That way it will kind of stay in place and not end up with any looseness where it might rattle. As you can see, we are up at our inner taillight here, and we are ready to go down with our other wire. Okay, so here we have our adapter harness for our inner taillight. This one will run from the inner taillight all the way down to the outer taillight. That's just this one long wire. And we can just follow along with the same path that the other wiring is. Kind of keep it consistent. All right, and we are going to route this one back down here. All right, and we're going to get that snake back up here. And we're going to tape this wire on. And let's pull it through. Okay, so now we have our wire attached to our snake, and we're going to run it down to the outer taillight. Should be good right there. Pull our snake through and take off our wire, our tape. And now we have this wire ran, and it goes into this connector. Okay, so here we are on the outer taillight adapter. Now this pin right here is the wire we just ran down from the top. This is going to go into pin 3 right here. And what we're going to do is slide it in there with the lock tab right here facing out. There's one on each side. And so we're going to slide it right in there and then just push that wire in place, and you'll hear it latch. And then what you're going to do is, if you look here on the side, this is a locking tab. Now, if that is closed shut, you're not going to be able to push or remove terminals from this connector. So we're going to turn it here and then just push it in place. Okay, so we are going to plug in our taillight now. Here's our adapter harness. We're just going to tuck all the additional wiring up into here and then plug in the connector. Again, it faces out like this. Plug it in and lock our connector in place, and then we can close this up. Okay, so here we are on the driver's side inner taillight, and we have our adapter harness here for the inner. All the wires have been run from the inner to the outer taillight, and then up from the outer taillight to the inner taillight. Now, if you take a look here, this is our earlier revision of the harness that we still have installed in our vehicle. We're just using this video as a demonstration. So we can start by removing this connector, slide the lock tab down, and pull it out. And then we can take our connector here. Now, one note, on the inner and outer versions of this, the original connector on the car, there's a small little tab here that has to slide off. You have to shave it off with a razor blade to get it to plug into this connector, and then you can lock that in place. We can then pop this locking tab loose right here, and this will allow us to slide the wires that run from the outer light to it. And here we have that wire from the outer light. It's going to be labeled to inner pin 1, and we're going to take that and put it in pin 1 right here. You'll hear that click, and then you can lock it back in place and then plug it into the vehicle and put that back in. Now, one quick note, any other questions you have about that, we have a few quick notes in the instructions we include with our harnesses, and you'll find that packed with your new harness. Now, our final step is going to be installing the hatch panel. this is the last thing to do before we have to perform coating. So we can slide that one side in, and then you have to kind of bend the other side down to work it in place. Now it is pliable plastic, but if it's cold, you want to be careful that you don't end up cracking anything. So now we have it in there, we can work it up in place, and make sure you get one of your clips lined up with where they go, and then just hit it. And then hit it. And now we can put our side panels in. There we go. And now when you're installing these side ones, I know it seems to be a little bit easier to loosen that one up to get this panel in place. And then you finish that one up to get everything lined up in place there. And we'll throw on our other side. Now you got to make sure that when you're doing this, that if you have any of these wires from the harnesses in the way, that you move them out so that you don't pinch them with the clips. All right, and finally we are going to put on this rear piece here. And it's good to kind of hook it on from the bottom, and then roll it up. All right, and then we have to put in our 4 screws at the top. And now we're ready to perform our coating. We're going to have links to that in the description below. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to check out more like it. For more information about the products featured in this video, check out our website at shopdap.com.